Teams are out there on the pitch, just a couple of minutes away from kick-off now, with 9 games to go last season. Arsenal crumbled and capitulated. They couldn't even beat Southampton here, but literally nobody expects that to happen this time around, especially not tonight. Luton have given their all so far this season. Do they have anything left in the tank? Only one winner, surely. But hold on, this is the Premier League. It's been a crazy season, so let's get it on. Arsenal-Luton, live on Talksport with former England captain Stuart Pearce, alongside Sam Matterface.
Very good evening to you. Thank you very much, Adrian. Well, after frustrating Manchester City, Arsenal aim to terrorise the town. It is the team fighting for the ultimate prize against the team fighting to survive. The last time these two met, Arsenal went 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table. Now they are playing catch-up. The last time these two met, it was dizzying. 7-goal thriller, settled in the last moments by Declan Rice at the division's tiniest arena. Tonight's clash under the bright Emirates lights carries greater weight. Arsenal looking to build on a pragmatic, mature performance at Manchester City that they hope can help them lead the title race come the end of the night. Luton, with the pressure of relegation building, looking to damage them. And damage they do. The last time they failed to score on their travels was on the 11th of November. Arsenal, beware. A much-changed Arsenal team as well. 5 in all from that Etihad excursion. They start with David Raya in goal. Ben White at right back, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Partey, Ødegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe, who starts in the Premier League for just the 3rd time this campaign. Nelson and Trossard flank Havertz in attack. Luton will wear all black tonight and will expect to shoot from right to left. They've got Kaminsky in goal, Kabore, Mengi, Hashioka and Doughty, Mpanzu, Clark and Barkley in midfield, Townsend and Onyedinma flanking Morris in attack. It's the Arsenal anthem that gets all the Arsenal supporters on their feet, their scarves above their head. They've done their best to create big atmospheres on big nights. They expect to beat Luton tonight. Will their much-changed team deliver? Brentford against Brighton is live on the Talksport app. Manchester City against Villa kicks off at 8:15 on Talksport 2. But first tonight, it's Arsenal against Luton, with Arsenal looking to go top of the Premier League. Let's find out what happens with the former England hero, Stuart Pearce, who's alongside me in the commentary box. And as our referee tonight, Craig Pawson, blows his whistle, we'll have a quick look at that Luton town shape and see exactly how it is that they decide to line up tonight, Stuart. And it does look immediately as if there is a slight difference in the way that they have lined up at the back. You suggested a back three. It looks like it might well be the case.
Yeah, I think it is that way. I think Onyedinma looks as though he's playing, albeit he's in a right back position at this moment in time, but I think he's actually going to be a wing back, with Doughty being the wing back on this side.
Initial work to do for Hashioka, who scurries back into the centre of the defence to nudge a ball which was played over the top into the arms of Kaminsky. He clears away to our left-hand side and he goes up towards the halfway line. We play 47 seconds. The ball's on the halfway with Clark, and a slight rejig at the back then today for Luton. Havertz trying to get forward early, looks to release Trossard, goes down the left channel, but it's too heavy from the German and it trickles behind through the 6-yard box and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. It's a week of 10 live Premier League games across the network as the midweek madness takes grip. Right here, right now, we're at the Emirates Stadium with Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, often fast starters, smothering and hounding, setting the tone. Luton are occasionally good at that too, as Tottenham find out to their cost after 180 seconds at the weekend.
Yeah, I think Luton, what they'll do, it looks as though Clark's just tucked in on the left-hand side. Advance almost a 3 when they can get forward, supporting Morris, with Townsend tucked in on the right-hand side.
Yeah, it looks like it's Onyedinma at right wing back, Hashioka, Mengi and Kabore, and then Doughty playing as a left wing back, but he will be the one that's expected to get further on, and that will be because of the fact that his crossing delivery is so good. We've got two of the best aerial teams in the country right now. They use their heads better than most. Arsenal 16 headed goals, the best in the league, 14 for Luton. Saliba at the back with a bit of a job to do, puts it back towards his goalkeeper. It's very close to his own goal, but he hit it with just enough pace to get it back to Raya and not do any damage to his own team. And frustrated Mikel Arteta jumps in the air and flings himself round as Raya decides to go long out towards this near side, chested down by White. Nelson picks it up, turns under pressure from Mpanzu. Infield it goes. Thomas Partey back in the team and starting for the first time since August. Has it out towards this right side and then in towards Saliba. It'll be interesting to see how Arsenal find their rhythm as well with so many changes.
Yeah, it will. As I say, it's quite a wholesale change. I didn't expect that many in the Arsenal ranks. I can understand why he's done it, and I would fully expect, Sam, that the players that are coming will be chomping at the bit for some game time.
Emil Smith-Rowe, one of those, getting forward over on that left-hand side, trying to get into the box and cause problems. It goes up high towards Carlton Morris. The big, strong, burly striker collides with Gabriel. Free kick is given against Morris, and it's going to be a free kick just short of the centre circle. Left-hand side, Arsenal have it. 3 minutes gone, 0-0 on Talksport. Arsenal at the beginning of what is a defining month, 8 games. One of the reasons for resting so many, I think, is because those games are possibly season-defining. Champions League quarter-finals, London derbies, and all contested in the context of striving to win the title for the first time in 20 years. Here's Nelson taking it inside Kabore, trying to feed Captain Ødegaard. He takes a heavy touch and Hashioka will turn and see it back to his goalkeeper Kaminsky, and Luton will clear upfield with the Belgian goalkeeper clipping it high towards the halfway line. It bounces once and then doesn't quite scoot through to Clark. Arsenal clear and Trossard picks it up far side, the Arsenal left. He turns it back into Saliba. Then it's received by Partey, who picks it up to the centre circle, feeds Trossard, who's wandered. His ball forward is rushed. He was pulled back as he attempted to do so by Barkley. It's going to be a free kick in the centre circle for Arsenal, 0-0.
Yeah, there's an element of man-to-man with Luton a little bit. When they go on a full-court press, the back sort of 7, let's say, almost lock on to their certain players, and it'll be down to Arsenal to try and free themselves up and create space. Yeah,
that's something that they've done before. In fact, most famously, they tried to do that against Manchester City and were well beaten in that game at Kenilworth Road in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. Haven't won for 10 games in all competitions, Luton, as they look to try and hold off Arsenal here. So far, they've kept them at arm's length. Here is Saliba, just in front of the halfway line. Out towards the left. Gabriel gets it back to the Ukrainian Zinchenko, who weaves his way through the centre circle, feeds White, goes back infield to Ødegaard, and then Ødegaard shuffles it out towards this near touchline. Picked up by Nelson now, who travels infield. He's engaged by Mpanzu. No need to force it, but it goes backwards rather than forwards from Arsenal. And it's back towards the edge of the centre circle. Arsenal did play with intensity on Sunday, hunting and harassing and chasing. If they play like that tonight, it will be a problem for Luton, who haven't seen much of the ball in the opening 6 minutes or so.
No, and it'll be important that the likes of Barkley and Townsend, who have got sort of, let's say, pedigree without offering any disrespect elsewhere, keep hold of the ball when they do retain it.
75% possession for Arsenal so far in the game, when we played just over 5 minutes and 45 seconds on Talksport as we go through this midweek period of games, a pivotal period of games. It was an intense clash between Tottenham and West Ham last night. Big victory for Nottingham Forest in their game yesterday, and a big point for Everton away at Newcastle United. Tonight, Brentford against Brighton is underway, and 0-0 the score there. That's on the Talksport app. Just download the app and you can get access to it. Tomorrow morning, Gabriel Bonhall back on breakfast alongside Alan Brazil, and they'll pick through absolutely everything that happens on this big night of football. Here's Ødegaard, back to Zinchenko, wide towards the left, where it's collected by Smith-Rowe eventually out on the far side. He moves up towards the edge of the penalty area. Trossard has made a run, but so has Emil Smith-Rowe. Ødegaard not quite on the same wavelength as either of them, and the ball trickles down the left corridor and out for a corner kick, a goal kick away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, Arsenal's rotation's been very good. Luton have been very dogmatic, staying with their runners in the main. But every time so far, Arsenal have played a forward pass to try and bisect the back line. It's just been overhit at the moment.
Well, so often this campaign, Luton have given those, expected to flatten them. A few bumps in the road. They are now on a terrible winless run. It's given away cheaply here, and Emil Smith-Rowe has set it up for Havertz, who's shot cannons into the first defender. It goes back out wide. Ødegaard now trying to find room for the cross. He waits and then holds it up for White, who clips it towards the far post, and Kaminski, wanting to make sure that there's not a major problem, just tips it over the top of the crossbar. Carlton Morris not happy with his goalkeeper and his distribution, goes over, has a word with him, quite a forceful one, and it's out for a corner to the best set-piece team in the league.
Yeah, basically what he's saying is, look, if we're going to play out from the back, make sure we don't lose it in our own box or just outside it, is what happened a couple of moments ago.
Arsenal about to take yet another set piece from this near side. They send it short to Ødegaard's Smith-Rowe, then back to Ødegaard again, edge of the penalty area. Zinchenko is lining one up, cracks it goalwards, blocked by Doughty. It bounces out into the right wing position. Ødegaard chasing, Townsend comes across, hooks it clear, and Arsenal have got them penned in at this moment in time. Well,
I've got to say, Zinchenko caught that full-blooded, and a brilliant block by Doughty. That was on target.
Forceful block by Alfie Doughty, who did have a knock picked up at the weekend at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but has sufficiently recovered to make this trip back to North London tonight. And he's been a useful outlet for them all season. His crosses into the box have caused so much damage this campaign for opponents, big name opponents. Here is Saliba clipping it forward. It's a bit off radar from him, and it floats straight out of play on this near side and away for a throw-in.
Yeah, you've got to give commendation to Luton with the amount of injuries they had. People wrote them off at the start of the season. We're just entered April, and they're more than in the mix as they stand at the moment to have a foothold and stake a claim in staying in the division.
Gabriel wins a foul from Clark. It's going to be an uphill task, isn't it? Luton staying in the division. They've been languishing in and around the bottom three all season. They've never been higher than 16th. They start the night firmly ensconced in it, and with tough fixtures to negotiate still to come, it's a task that seems to be getting harder and harder. I was at their game away at the Vitality Stadium a couple of weeks ago when they took a 3-0 lead into the half-time break and ended up contriving somehow to lose that match. That felt like a pivotal week.
That was a real big one, I've got to say. You know, when you've got your nose in front in games, to actually cede points, psychologically that hurts.
Arsenal on the attack once again. Down the right side, they go back centrally to Partey, then out to Nelson. Nelson backwards to Saliba. Everything congested in a 30-yard swath of pitch between the 18-yard and the edge of the centre circle. It's collected once again by Nelson on this right-hand side. He gets down the side of the penalty box and then pokes it into Ødegaard. Lovely little flick that was returned by Ben White, but wasn't accurate, the return. And then a foul committed by Nelson gives away a free kick to Luton on the dead ball line away to our right-hand side. So it's 0-0 after 10 minutes, and you're listening to Talksport.
Yeah, I like the way Arsenal are rotating, trying to pull the back line of Luton onto them with this man-to-man situation, pulling them out the back line, making them come sort of deep, if you like, and then all of a sudden, on the odd occasion, Raya's looking to put that ball in behind for the likes of Havertz.
Well, you are listening to Arsenal against Luton on Talksport with Now, and don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action contract-free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports. Tomorrow we're at Liverpool against Sheffield United, and I just wonder here whether or not they're going to just take a couple of moments for some of the players to refuel. It is coming to an end of Ramadan, and there is obviously restrictions on whether or not where you can eat and when you can't eat if you are observing Ramadan. And 7:41 is the time of the sunset tonight, which is why the referee has just stopped proceedings once the ball went out of play and allows those players observing Ramadan to take on some nutritious gel. Ball cleared upfield by Kaminski. Offside flag is up against Clark, and it's away for a free kick to Arsenal, 0-0.
I think what we got tonight, certainly with the way the title chase is looming, the longer the game goes on, the more nervous the crowd will get in here. They see this one as definitely cannot drop points tonight from Arsenal's point of view.
Well, last year this was the kind of game that they really did struggle with, wasn't it? I mean, they gave points away against Southampton, and in matches like that they needed a big goal against Bournemouth. I remember Nelson scored that. They just have to get over the line tonight no matter what happens. Erdogan has it just outside the penalty area, a left-footed shot which cannons into the body of Mpanzu, eventually cleared by Luton a little bit further up the pitch, but Partey's won it back, scooped it forward, down the left channel looking for Trossard. Hashioka away with a header, who towers above Trossard to get there, and then Zinchenko stops Luton from progressing, and then Zinchenko doing Zinchenko things, which is basically half acting as the leader of the group on the pitch and half acting as the conductor of the Arsenal orchestra. Tries to turn up the temperature.
I think as well, if you look at the team that have retained the Premier League title for the last few seasons, Man City, what they've done extremely well in games, they've been so patient, haven't they? You know, when they're chasing matches, there's a patience about their play, and Arsenal have got to find that patience to say, look, we got 90 minutes. That was one of Clough's catchphrases. We got 90 minutes to win the game. Don't be panicking in the first half.
Well, I think largely they were credited, Arsenal, with a calculated approach to that recent game with Manchester City. They didn't rush it. They didn't go hell for leather. They didn't make it the blockbuster that many of us who are neutral wanted it to be. It was a tactical tussle. Here they come, going forward with Havertz, dispossessing the ball and winning it down the left-hand side. He moves into the box now, finds Trossard, who tries to poke it through to Smith Rowe, couldn't get it under his command, and then it's cleared away inside the penalty area and whipped out towards the right-hand side. It's out by Mpanzu towards this near touchline. So we played a total of 14 minutes, and a few sparks now from Arsenal as they come forward once again with Emil Smith Rowe, 5 yards short of the penalty area, over on the left-hand side. The ball with Trossard, Havertz, then back to Zinchenko. Zinchenko takes a touch, comes infield, plays it to Saliba. There are all 10 outfield players for Luton sandwiched in a 10-yard juncture on the edge of the 18-yard box, compact, trying to plug the gaps that Arsenal were looking to exploit and expose. Ball into the area for Smith Rowe, chests it down, under pressure from Townsend, takes it wide to the far side, goes out for a goal kick when he thought he was getting a corner. He's not, and it's with Kaminski away to our right-hand side. So a bright start to the game. Arsenal not really causing any problems, though, in terms of an attacking sense to Kaminski.
No, they're not, but what I would say is they've just been short of that final pass at the moment, overhitting it. They probably attempted to slide a forward in or a runner in, maybe on about 3 or 4 occasions now, when you think to yourself, sooner or later they will get that pass correct.
Kaminski.
Can I ask you a question?
You can ask me a question.
Right.
I know you're in spicy mood tonight, though, so I'm a little bit worried already.
Thank you. I was told that the ball boys and ball girls weren't allowed to give the ball back to the players directly.
This is true, yes.
Well, I've just seen one do it in front of me.
Well, you're grassing up ball boys now.
Yeah.
Here is Havertz down the left-hand side, trying to rob the ball from Kabore. Gets away, plays it to the edge of the area, and then as Odegaard tries to take over, they're smothered by the back line of Luton. It's out of play on this near side. Another ball boy's just given the ball back to someone. Quick, tell the fourth official.
He is probably the best, most efficient ball boy I've ever seen in my life, to be fair to him.
Ball is out on the left-hand side. Well, they've got the multi-ball system where the players are supposed to take it off the cones, and they're all at 15-yard intervals around the pitch. But there is one particular ball boy away to our right-hand side who quickly is darting and retrieving it for Arsenal when they are on the attack. And they're not supposed to sit near those cones, actually. That's the idea. They're sitting in between the cones so they can retrieve the ball and place them back on the plinth. Here's Barkley bursting from midfield for Luton, who are now on the attack away to our left-hand side in those black shirts. Down towards the corner flag goes Clark. He turns it back into Barkley, who's on the left angle of the Arsenal penalty area. It's the first time that Luton have got a sight of that all evening so far. 16 minutes gone, and Barkley then just slows up, holds onto the ball and waits to try and find an outlet. Just overplays a little bit, then wanders into a cul-de-sac, manages to get out of that and release Clark down the left-hand side. A low ball into the box and snaffled away by Zinchenko, who picked it up and then looked to try and get the ball forward quickly, but didn't have anyone to play it to. And then when he did eventually see the run of Trossard, his ball just a little bit off radar and cut out by Hashioka, and back to Kaminski away to our right.
Well, we've just seen the value of Barkley there. His composure on the ball, knowing when to slow the game down, when to speed it up. He laid Clark in, and Clark drove into the box, and he should have done. He's released the ball far too soon. He needs to commit an Arsenal defender before he lays it across the face of the goal. But well played, Barkley.
Indeed. Arsenal took the lead after 20 minutes in the topsy-turvy game between the two at Kenilworth Road, but they could never really shake off Luton. And Barkley, a big part of that. He's scored big goals in big games this season. Scored in the big game with Chelsea, Newcastle, the game between these two. It's his 26th start in a row. And he has been a major influence on the Hatters this season. The captain, Morris, drops, picks the ball up and lays it back to Hashioka, 10 yards outside his own box, fired forward by Mpanzu and straight out of play. The latest odds looks like this: Arsenal 0, Luton 0. Ladbrokes has the latest odds, and right now you can get Arsenal 7-1 on to win the game. The draw 6-1, and a Luton victory 25-1, all thanks to Ladbrokes, 18+ gambleaware.org. Here's Ødegaard on the edge of the area, trying to feed Nelson. Now, for the first time, Ødegaard just misplacing a pass, which ends up at the foot of a teammate on the edge of the Luton penalty area, and it's cleared away by Barkley eventually out towards this near side. And what a swishing ball that is. It floats beyond Ben White, left by Clark for Doughty, who himself delivers a cross into the near post. Oh, and it's hit his teammate Clark, who was the next man along in the line when he was trying to swirl that in for Morris, who had made a decent run from the edge of the penalty area across the back marker.
Yeah, great setup there. Once again, Barkley hitting a diagonal pass from right to left. Superb. He's probably the one player that you look at and think he would fit straight into this Arsenal side, the team chasing the lead. He's on top of the ground on his form at the moment, that is for sure.
Another misplaced Arsenal pass coming forward, and it goes straight to Tieran Mengi, who was in the England under-21 team the other day, and eventually cleared by Kaminski. They've got it back, Arsenal, and those red and white jerseys. At pace, Trossard charges towards the Luton box. He gets down the left side of it, moves away from Townsend, swirls back, turns, gets the crossing opportunity down by the byline, in towards Havertz, away by Mengi, comes back to Smith Rowe. He rushes his effort, takes a couple of bobbles and a little deflection, takes it towards Kaminski's left. He has to just pigeon step quickly towards that left-hand side and gather the ball into his chest, and it remains 0-0.
I've got to say, there's some harum-scarum defending and swipes at the ball in the Luton back line at the moment, but up to now they've done well enough to get blocks in the way. There was 2-3 deflections there in the 6-yard box.
It was a little bit pinball, that, wasn't it? 0-0 here, 0-0 between Brentford and Brighton, and just about to get underway on Talksport 2 at 8:15 tonight. Manchester City against Aston Villa live with Ian Danta and Troy Deeney, who's doing commentary for the first time tonight on Talksport 2. And looking forward to hearing a bit of that later on. We've played 20 minutes here, 0-0. Here is Saliba. Back into the middle, where it's collected by David Raya. Out further wide to Gabriel. And then infield it goes to Partey, who immediately sends it long, looking for Havertz. And Havertz looked round, waited for the ball to drop over his shoulder. And as he looked up into the sky, it dropped on his shoulder and then bounced back through to Kaminski.
Yeah, exactly what the picture that we painted earlier. Arsenal players pulling the Luton back line in, and it was left with Mengi and Havertz around the halfway line, and Mengi just didn't follow the run at all.
Partey, infield, trying to find Saliba. Back to Partey once again. Partey looks up and then turns and just feeds the ball into Gabriel, and then holds it once again. Good to see Partey playing a big part in this game, and they've missed him a bit this season, although they've coped without him. I think the extra squad depth going into the run-in is certainly going to help. I think only Jurrien Timber is missing from the Arsenal squad in terms of a first team availability. I know that Saka's got a bit of a muscle injury tonight, but I also think he's just being rested for a bit of a precaution after picking up that little knock at the weekend. Now here is Partey inside the centre circle. Just to the left of him is Ødegaard, the captain. Zinchenko, who's wandered in from left back into that central area, finds Smith Rowe, far side. Trossard takes over, runs at Kabore, goes on the outside, gets the byline, produces across. Havertz is up there, just about misses it. He was challenged by the defender, who did very, very well, Kabore, and managed to clear out towards this near side. Collected now by Carlton Morris, then on to Barkley. He's given the ball away in a dangerous area though, and into that zone moves Trossard, who cuts in on his right foot, tries a shot. Mpanzu getting back, blocks it. It goes out to the far side, and then eventually Fred Onyedinma sees it back into the path of Hashioka, and it's cleared upfield. Let's go off to the game at the G-Tech and find out what the very latest is with Talksport. Ian Abrahams.
22 gone, Brentford 0, Brighton 0, best moment so far. Keane Lewis potted down the left hand side, got to the byline, squared it in towards the near post where Johan Visser put it just wide. The game is live on the Talksport app. It's Brentford 0, Brighton 0.
Thanks to Ian Abrahams, who was last night taking in West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur. And tonight he's at Brentford Brighton. Tomorrow night, he tells me, he's going to Chelsea against Manchester United. Busy old week for him. Busy old week for Talksport, really, because we've got games every night. Yesterday we were at the London Stadium, tonight here and at Manchester City and at Brentford. Tomorrow, more fixtures live for you, including Chelsea, Manchester United and Liverpool against Sheffield United. Won by Smith Rowe. He pinches the ball from Mpanzu. Fed to Ødegaard, who gets it back from Havertz, and Ødegaard slams it in at the near post. Kaminski dives to his right but can't keep it out. And Arsenal, who know the importance of getting over the line tonight, strike first in their game with the basement battlers Luton Town. And it's a bashing finish from their captain, Ødegaard. Mpanzu saw the ball pinch from him in midfield. Smith Rowe had a role in it. The ball came through to Ødegaard. He released it to Havertz. He gave it back to his captain. And from just inside the box, on the left side, it was slammed into the near corner, past the diving Kaminski. And it's Arsenal 1, Luton 0.
Well, it's fair to say that'll put everyone in this stadium, or certainly an Arsenal contingent anyway, mentality at ease. Luton trying to play through the midfield, got caught on it, and from that moment on there was big trouble. The defence was spread to play, and it was, I've got to say, a wonderful turnover and a great finish as well by Ødegaard.
"25 minutes gone, and Martin Ødegaard, who hasn't scored here since December the 2nd, gets his first goal in Arsenal red in this stadium in 2024. It could be an important one. Doughty at the other end trying to get Luton back level, feeds the ball down into the left side of the penalty area for Jordan Clark. He tries to turn away, but he's being marshalled by Ben White, and then Kabore will see it back to the centre circle and Tadam Mengi. 25 on the clock when Ødegaard struck first. Arsenal, remember, striking first at Kenilworth Road, but couldn't shake off Luton. Will they be able to tonight? Ball into the box by Townsend, towards Clark, away by White, who gets in front of him and just with a little back header flicks it out for a throw in the left wing position for Luton.
Yeah, good defending there by White at the far post. Not sure what's coming in behind him, just helped it on with his head. It'll be interesting now, Luton. They're going to have to come out slightly more than they actually have been.
First goal of the night scored by Martin Ødegaard, his 10th of the season, into double figures for Arsenal once again. Here is Barkley onto Kabore. Kabore across in towards the centre circle and Tadam Mengi, and then collected by Hashioka. And once again, Arsenal just keeping Luton at arm's length as Hashioka strides forward, likes to get forward down that right hand side, plays it into Townsend. Townsend's ball into Mpanzu, seized upon by Smith Rowe, and it was good covering defensive work by Emil Smith Rowe, and it's cleared away. I think that, you know, there was a lot of hope for Emile Smith-Rowe when he first burst onto the scene. He's an England international. As the ball goes in towards Carlton Morris with a left-footed delivery by Townsend, which sized its way through the Arsenal defence and almost found its way to Carlton Morris, but in the end found its way to the gloves of David Raya.
Well, I think with a lot of teams you would think they'd go under now, being in the situation they are, but Luton have proved time and time again they're not that way inclined. They're in for the fight.
And they'll need to dig in now, won't they? Because concession of 1 goal is disappointing. Concession of 2 before half-time might well mean curtains for them. They have scored in each of their last 18 games, Luton Town, so they do know how to hurt you. Here is Trossard on the far side, the Arsenal left, as they come forward, given away cheaply because Smith-Rowe and Trossard just weren't communicating properly. Barkley intervened, and then Fred Onyedinma has got to try and get the ball back to Hashioka. Instead he's giving it back to Havertz, and Arsenal pounce once more. Smith-Rowe looking for his captain Ødegaard. Again Onyedinma trying to get it away, gets a whack from Havertz, the ball goes out of play. The free kick is given eventually for Luton Town in the right full-back position.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to cause Luton the most problems at all. Giving possession away in cheap areas, probably 30-40 yards out from their own goal. Arsenal will thrive off of that.
Emile Smith-Rowe getting back to help out his defence a crucial moment ago, and also the one who won the ball back as they pressed and harassed inside the Luton half of the field, leading to that goal. I mentioned that there was a lot of hope for him when he first broke into the team. There was a period when he just sort of appeared to fall out of favour with his manager. Questions about how he handled himself or away from the pitch, whether he was eating the right things and doing the right sort of training. There were suggestions in Arteta press conferences that maybe he needed to help himself a little bit more. Well, certainly he's hungry and desperate to prove his point tonight on only his 3rd Premier League start of the campaign. 29 gone. Arsenal lead by a 1-0. If it stays like this, they'll be back on top of the table for tonight at least.
Well, they'll certainly be expecting to be on top of the table, and City, who are playing, kicking off later, will be fully aware of the result coming from here.
Here is Partey. Back to Ødegaard. Ødegaard across, finding Saliba. He takes 1 or 2 touches before looking up and trying to float the ball out to White. It's cut out by Doughty, and he will scurry away. And Panzu into the path of Barkley. And he plays it brilliantly round the back of the defence, and Doughty is away. He's being chased now by Nelson, who does superbly. Times his intervention really well, showed a good turn of feet as well. Gives it back to Raya. His clearance wasn't brilliant, and it goes straight out of play for a throw-in halfway inside Arsenal territory for Luton.
Yeah, Luton done really well there playing out. Doughty started it, and when it went into Barkley, he swept it into the channel. Fantastic ball for Doughty's run. And they've been in that channel a couple of times and probably should have done slightly better each occasion.
I mentioned earlier that Luton can hurt you, and Townsend is certainly trying to do that now down that right-hand side. His cross is a deep one into the box, and Clark is arriving, and he got above his marker, Ben White, glanced it towards goal, and he misfired.
I'll tell you what a wonderful cross there by Townsend. You can tell that the talent that Townsend and Barkley have both got within this Luton lineup, and as I say, they cut Townsend's left foot off, that sort of chop back and whip in, and he's quite happy to go on his right foot and stand one up to the far post.
I hope they haven't cut his left foot off.
Not in the biblical sense, my friend, no.
Otherwise that physio's got a big job to do at half-time. Here is Saliba out to Raya, back to Saliba once again. We played half an hour, and you're listening to Talksport. Sam Matterface and Stuart Pearce here at the Emirates Stadium. Liverpool against Sheffield United is tomorrow night on Talksport. Manchester United's visit to Stamford Bridge is on Talksport 2 tomorrow. I'm very much looking forward to all these big games. Ball out wide towards the left-hand side for Arsenal, who are on the attack, looking to further their advantage here. 2-0 will be a great scoreline before half-time if they can manage to fashion a second goal. They lead by the strike that was converted by Ødegaard just 6 minutes ago, and that solitary goal advantage at this moment in time do enough to satisfy this crowd who've come here thirsty for another Arsenal victory. At home where they are so reliable. Ball played down the near side, looking for Havertz. It's cut out by Mpanzu and then back by Doughty. Infield to his goalkeeper Kaminsky, and him will clear away. Hashioka, picked up from Saint-Trudan in Belgium in the January transfer window. Infield to Barkley. Morris drops a little deeper to receive the ball for Luton. Rob Edwards comes out to the edge of his technical area, gesticulating, trying to encourage and move up the field. That Luton line, all in black today, trying to get up the pitch and damage Arsenal. Kabore, it's a poor ball straight out of play. Oh, it might have taken a little flick actually off Nelson. Goes out in front of Mikel Arteta, and it's going to be a throw in to Luton inside the Arsenal half.
Yeah, it was, but Kabore there guilty of sort of taking his eye off the ball, letting it run away from him, and couldn't find a clean pass.
Barkley, who's very good at finding clean passes, has it in that quarterback role, and he often drops into that little role, doesn't he? Sort of drops off, gives himself a pocket of space and looks for the best ball forward in the style of every good quarterback. Zinchenko dispossessing over on the far side. Fred Onyedinma, who'd progressed up the field, who's on the charge now, and Onyedinma's got it inside the penalty area, plays it against Gabriel, and it goes out for a goal kick. He thought he was going to get a corner out of that. Gabriel says that one's on me. I made a little slip, a mistake after confusion between him and Zinchenko.
Once again, should have done a little bit better there, Luton. They've been in some good wide areas just inside the box on the fringes, and either taken a pass that's been too early and not committed anybody.
You don't want to give them a free pass, you don't want to patronise them either, but this Luton group, remember, robbed of 13 players, so that they're not at their full strength by any stretch of the imagination, and they do give it a go, don't they? They do show that they've got flashes. There's a problem over on the far side. Hashioka's down. The Luton bench all jumped up and said there was a bad challenge on him. He's back to his feet now, but he can't continue. He's gone down. Another injury maybe here for Rob Edwards to deal with. It was Saliba who was on him as the ball goes out towards the left, and Trossard now gets it into the penalty area. This would be controversial if they were to score from this. It comes back to Partey. Partey looking to feed it into Ødegaard, and then on to Smith. Throw! It's saved. It comes back to Havertz. Nelson is there, still loose. Ødegaard tries to strike. It's blocked inside the box by Tenen Mengi, who himself gets a bit of a whack, and now the referee decides that he will call a halt to the situation so he can attend to Hashioka, who's still down just left of the centre circle.
He certainly is. As I say, the initial challenge, he went down, then he's got up, he's had a run, and then collapsed to the floor again.
Well, it was Saliba who went in and basically overran the ball and then slid in to try and push it away. And as he did so, he followed right through and took Hashioka to the ground. And then there was a series of blocks, the best of from Mengi, as Arsenal caused chaos in the Luton box away to our right-hand side. So two Luton players down getting treatment, Mengi and Hashioka. They can't afford to lose another central defender, especially not two. No,
I mean, we got two Luton players down at this moment in time, both getting treatment, both at different ends of the pitch.
Well, they've already lost Tom Lockyer, obviously. He's here tonight, actually. He was on television earlier. Reece Burke, recently, another central defender who's had his problems. Gabe Osho, who's out for at least a little while, another mainstay of their defence. Amari Bell, who's going to miss the rest of the season with a hamstring injury. The list goes on and on and on. Dan Potts has had problems all season with an injury that he picked up in pre-season. So their defensive options have dwindled. Mengi coming off on this near side. Hashioka is off on the far side. He wants to come back on, but both of them will have to be off the field for 30 seconds, which means that Luton will have 8 outfield players for 30 seconds. It's like a power play.
It certainly is. It's fair to say Luton will be slowing the game down for the next 30 seconds, you would suspect.
Yeah. You're listening to Talksport. Arsenal against Luton with Enterprise Rent a Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with vehicles for all your business needs. Well, Hashioka's been allowed straight back on.
And he's going straight back off again.
And now he's going straight back off again. Because you've got to stay off for 30 seconds, fella.
I think you'll find in the laws of the game, entering the pitch without the referee's consent is a bookable offence.
It is, you're absolutely correct, but he hasn't been booked.
He hasn't.
Now, earlier in the season, I think he might have been, Stuart. You know, when they laid the law down about all of that discipline stuff?
I know exactly.
And you said to me, after about a week, this won't last very long. Did it?
No, about 4 weeks. 4 weeks normally.
Ball is back in play. Still they have 8 outfield players here. Townsend's looking around saying, I need a pass. He can't find one. We haven't got any players. That's half the problem. The ball goes back to Doughty on this near side. He kicks it back to his goalkeeper, who'll do well to hold on to it here for as long as possible. Now Mengi is allowed back on. So is Hashioka. And all of a sudden Luton have the full complement again with 8 minutes to go before half-time.
Yeah, they're just going to have to steady the ship, Luton. As I say, they've had a couple of decent entries into the final third of Arsenal. Just need to find a little bit of quality when they get in there.
Here is Carlton Morris, who could do that. We've been joined by Talksport 2, who are listening in to events at the Emirates, where it is Arsenal 1, Luton Town 0. The goal scored by captain Martin Ødegaard after 25 minutes. We've just had a stoppage in play where we lost 2 Luton players for 30 seconds after the restart because they both received treatment. They've stabled and they have possession just short of the halfway line after Arsenal have given it back to them, and Arsenal have been a bit sloppy in possession at times during the match, but they do lead. The ball's on the halfway line and Townsend sends it forward. It takes a deflection, not a great one, comes through to Reece Nelson, who runs up to halfway, then checks back, and Partey will pick it up in the centre circle and meander forward. He looks up, plays it wide, feeds Ødegaard, the captain, who squeezes through a tight gap, pokes it to the German Havertz. It's tapped back to Partey once again. He sends it out wide towards the left. Zinchenko now, a couple of yards in from the far touchline. The ball is with Trossard. It's fired down into the left channel. Havertz has made a good run. The offside flag did stay down initially, and it's cleared away eventually by Mengi into midfield. And then Barkley pokes it forward onto Clark, out to the left and Doughty. And as they encourage their forward players to get forward, Carlton Morris is still nursing a little whack that he got over in the far corner, so he's trotting back into position slowly, and there wasn't really an outlet going forward. So they slow the play, control it again, and it remains 1-0 to Arsenal.
Yeah, I think when that ball gets played into Morris there, he was Gabriel just left a little bit on him. I think he's been nurtured by the Martin Keown school of charm, to be fair.
Martin Keown, who is here tonight, will be back on the radio on Friday between 10 and 1 with Jim and Darren McAntony. It is Arsenal 1, Luton 0, and the commentary continues on Talk Sport. Here is Gabriel, back to Raya into Emil Smith-Rowe. Far side again, Arsenal in control. And eventually Raya will put his foot on the ball, find a pass. Ødegaard drops deep into the middle of the central of defence. Here is Saliba forward into Nelson. Nelson under pressure from Kabore, guides it back into midfield. Arsenal looking to build again. This is Thomas Partey feeding the ball cleverly out to the far side of the pitch, where hugging that touchline almost on the white chalk was Zinchenko. He then travelled infield, tried to play a ball which was never on. He had 3 black shirts between him and Havertz, tried to feed him anyway, and then lost the ball. And now Barkley sends the ball down the right hand side. Onyedinma is racing on his bike to try and catch up with it, but across step Gabriel with supreme athleticism to dispossess him and win the ball. Across comes Trossard. Eventually they look to break at pace here, Arsenal. Raya pushed it out to Trossard. Ben White continued his run on this right-hand side, doesn't quite reach him, and Arsenal take it back to halfway. Ben White again trying to turn. Oh, lovely little balletic turn. 4-on-4 edge of the area. Nelson into Havertz, left side, drives it towards goal, stops, comes back towards White after Kaminski's save. He can't find an effort, and it's hooked away by Mengi and put out for a corner far side. Still 1-0.
Great set-up play there, and the shot got away, and I've got to say, Kaminski, wonderful save down to his left. Solid arm on it, and the Everton defenders got in and around it very, very quickly to scramble it away.
Well, he's saved the most shots in the Premier League this season. Thomas Kaminski is a very solid goalkeeper, and he's done a very good job for Luton Town this campaign. 1-0 Arsenal lead. They have a set piece on the far side, another corner, and they love a corner goal. It's short though, into Emil Smith-Rowe, and then back to the left edge of the area for Zinchenko, who passes the ball into Trossard, who tries to feed it into the box. It comes through towards Partey, and he pokes it wide from 4 yards out. Well, it was intricate, it was cute, there was a bit of fortune involved as well, I think. And eventually when it came through to Partey on the edge of the 6-yard box, he might have been closer than that. Somehow it went wide of the goal. And I think it was because of the fact that Doughty got the first touch and played it on to Partey rather than him initiating the action, and he was never in control of it.
Yeah, it certainly was. Another scramble moment in the 6-yard box. Arsenal players allowed too much room to start with, and then Doughty managed to scramble it behind.
Another good opportunity for Arsenal, who might feel when it comes into the final analysis that they haven't taken advantage of their dominance, but Luton have shown that they have teeth in the game, despite David Raya not really having to make a save in the match. Ball out over on the far side. Arsenal have won it back, kept in well by Trossard. Here is Zinchenko, travels with it through the 18-yard box, looks for a forward pass, and he's got an option on Trossard, who made a really good run, and he wasn't spotted by Zinchenko. Emil Smith-Rowe has it instead. Good turn, just left of the centre circle inside Luton territory. Up to Nelson, back to Smith-Rowe. Nelson again. Nelson trying to turn. He's being harassed by Hashioka, who's followed him out from the middle of the Luton defence. Back to Erdegaard, who's on this right-hand side. Infield it goes to Saliba, and then it's collected by Gabriel, who travels forward and then looks to release Trossard. Trossard now moving into the left wing position, joined now by Emil Smith-Rowe, who wasn't spotted. He sends it back into the centre of the 6-yard box, and Reece Nelson couldn't help but touch the ball home from inside the 6-yard box. 2-0 to Arsenal on the stroke of half-time. The worst possible time to concede a goal for Luton Town, who were trying to stick into it, but Emil Smith-Rowe escaped down that left-hand side, got into a space that once he was fed by Trossard, the ball couldn't help but be pulled back into the path of an on-rushing Arsenal shirt, and Reece Nelson was there to tuck it home. It's 2-0.
Yeah, as I say, it's the worst possible time. Luton had sort of steadied the ship slightly, but Arsenal have extended their lead, and you can't see a way back at this moment in time.
It's not the cleanest of finishes by Nelson, and I wonder whether or not he got much of a touch on it at all. In fact, it might have gone through his legs and touched Hashioka, who put it in.
It did. As I say, he's literally 2 yards out from goal, and he's missed it totally. And Hashioka's come in and just had a double touch and put it in the net.
Yeah, I think that, and although the Tenor announcer, you probably just heard him, has just given it to Reece Nelson, having studied the first replay, it did look as if it came off Hashioka last. It was scrambled in front of goal. Yeah, I think that goes past Nelson. He gets a little touch off the inside of his leg, but it's definitely Hashioka who has the final and most decisive touch to put it into the goal behind Kaminski.
Yeah, as I say, Smith-Rowe had so much time. He got to the byline and he had a chance to get his head up and pick his pass.
Well, Rob Edwards will be smarting from that, because that is exactly what they didn't want just before the break. In the last minute of normal time before the half-time whistle, we've got 4 additional ones. They've conceded a second goal.
Well, if you're the Luton manager, you go into the dressing room at half-time if it's 1-0 and say, look, we've had some really good entries in the final third. Let's show a bit more composure. Can we find a decent pass or a decent cross? And we'll get something out of the game. But that conversation almost goes out the window. They've give the ball away now, sort of, and give a couple of goals away that's really hurt them.
2-0, and Arsenal haven't picked their best 11 and haven't had to be at their very best to get that 2-goal lead as we go into stoppage time at the end of the first 45. And Luton have struggled a bit on the road this campaign. Their 2 wins have come at Sheffield United and Everton. They've dug in for draws with Forest, with Burnley, with Newcastle and Palace, but there haven't been too many fruitful trips from Bedfordshire for those Hatters fans this campaign. Ødegaard, who got the goal scoring started, has it on this near touchline.
As you said there, Sam, there's not too many teams there in the top half of the league that they've taken points from, you know, and that probably tells you something.
Ben White sends the ball down the right side of the Luton half. Havertz tries to travel in towards the middle of the pitch with it, but he's stopped by Mpanzu, the imposing figure of Peli Ruddock. Mpanzu. Kaminski's given the ball away with a ball out towards the right-hand side, which Hashioka didn't read, and now Trossard has it in the left wing position. And that's been the frustration from Luton. Lovely turn by Trossard, and Onyedinma comes back to back up his Japanese international central defender, and it goes out of play and away for a throw into Arsenal deep inside Luton territory.
Yeah, Hashioka there didn't help Kaminski out at all. He basically thought that the ball was going long, and Kaminski needed an angle from somebody.
Zinchenko with the throw for Arsenal. Partey, Zinchenko back towards the left, and Gabriel into Saliba into Emil Smith-Rowe. He's got it forward now to Nelson. He's played that forward Trossard. He thought there was a blatant handball, and it certainly looked that way. The referee said play on, and Partey charges forward, takes over, tries to feed Nelson. The ball's hooked into the air by a diving Kabore. It goes up and into the arms of the goalkeeper Kaminski, but I think a foul is going to be given against Nelson anyway, and it's going to be a free kick to Luton away to our right-hand side. So what do you say if you're Rob Edwards then going into the dressing room now?
Well, some of the passages of play, for me, I would be saying to him, keep getting the ball to Barkley. We've had joy in the wide areas when he's fed the ball out wide. We've just lacked a little bit of quality in those wide areas when we've got in there. So a little bit more composure there. And if we're going to play from the back, don't give it away, because Arsenal will hurt you and the ball will end up in the back of our net. And you know the next goal is vitally important. I think that's the speech. And your nose might grow a little bit during that, you know. But you've got to make out to the players that you actually mean it.
No, seriously, honestly, we can still do this. Is that how
you've got it?
Yeah. Well, listen, there would have been a speech like that from Andoni Iraola the other week when they were 3-0 down at home against Luton, and they managed to fashion a comeback. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that I expect that Luton will do that. Although I think they 3-0 down in the game against Manchester City and came out to 3-2 in the Cup before losing 6-2, but you know, they gave it a go. They've got a free kick here, just short of the edge of the box, away to our left-hand side. Foul given against Thomas Partey, who was just a little bit late on Jordan Clark. Actually, it was Saliba who came in and committed that challenge. Partey was the one complaining afterwards.
And as you mentioned earlier, statistically, Luton score, you know, so...
Yeah, always. 18 games in the league in a row that they've scored in. Often, a lot of those hits are only surface wounds, not mortal ones for their opponents. They've triumphed in just 4 of those. But you're right, they do score goals. That's why they're entertaining it. They've got a chance here from this free kick, which is a step or two to the right of centre, and will be taken by either Barkley or Morris, who are both standing over it. Barkley will be the favourite. Craig Pawson, who has just rolled the ball backwards an extra yard, and then Barkley's just moved it back again from where he wants to take it. There's a 4-man Arsenal wall just on the edge of the 18-yard box, so it sort of suggests to you that that's 28 yards from goal here. It's a little bit closer than that. But Barkley is going to step up to try and take it and try and outfox David Raya here. He takes an extra step back, arms down by his side. He steps up right-footed through the wall and straight into the arms of Raya, who only had to take a tame couple of steps to his right to catch it. Well, Luton haven't won an away game at Arsenal since Boxing Day 1959, and their away form this season didn't really inspire much confidence of them bucking that trend. But Arsenal are inspired to challenge for the title, however difficult it looks on paper. And as a result of what has been a solid first half performance, not a great one from them, but they do lead by 2-0 thanks to goals from Ødegaard and a Hashioka own goal. at half-time.
Sam, thanks very much. And they're going top of the table as things stand. And you really can't see Luton coming back and turning that around and winning by 3-2. They've got to come up with something different in the second half. A much changed Arsenal side, Stuart, Pearce, but they have largely controlled the game. I think Luton have been their usual game self, trying to get forward, trying to get Ross Barkley spraying passes around. But Martin Odegaard in the middle of the pitch, getting the first goal, but in commanding form in the centre of the pitch. So you can see why he's in the side tonight. Arsenal can't really do without him.
No, they can't. As I say, he's a real talent. He has been for a number of years. You know, he's an intelligent footballer. And I think what kills Luton is when they give it away cheaply.
Yeah.
You know, they spread to play, they give it away cheaply, and Arsenal smell blood at that stage, and that's what cost them the first goal, and that's the killer. Once they got the nose in front, I thought Luton steadied the ship after that. They got into some interesting positions in advanced areas without actually finding a killer cross or pass. And then you thought, well, OK, go in at half-time 1-0, and it's not been too bad. And then the second goal comes, and that really is hurtful.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is Pellegrino Campanzu giving it away in the middle of the park, in his own half. They've done it again for the second one. Is it just simply, though, a fact that Arsenal have got better players, therefore they are going to win the game? Is it just boiled down to that simplicity?
Listen, 8 out of 10 times that is the case. That's why Manchester City, Liverpool and Arsenal are at the top of the league, and other teams are down the bottom of the league. They've got better players. So, but, you know, Luton have give themselves a fighting chance because of the spirit they have at this football club, you know. You know, where they are at the moment, they're third from bottom. People wrote them off at the start of the season.
Yeah.
Said, you know, they've got in by default, and, you know.
So they'll be down by Easter.
Exactly that. Now, look at them. They're in with a fighter's chance because they've got spirit in the cab. Now, they've had a lot of injuries. That's understandable. So that's hurt them a little bit. But you can see the quality between the two sides, but we knew that before we turned up tonight.
When you talk about the spirit, you're right, and there's I'm going to quote back to you some of the phrases you've used regarding Luton's defending in that first half. Harum scarum was one, scramble moments was another, and I think it sums it up rightly. That's exactly what it's been. Last ditch, throwing everything at the ball. There's a Mengi block where I thought, wow, he's injured himself there, but he's put his body on the line for it.
Yeah, they're genuine. The team are very genuine, and that's the biggest commendation I can give to them. I don't want to belittle them, and they've got talent in Barkley who can find a pass, and Barkley could play in the Arsenal team the way he's playing at the moment. There's no doubt about that. He's that good on the ball, and he can see a pass and he understands the game. Same with Townsend, you know, he can do that. And amongst that, you've got a team ethic. This team have been coached very well. You can see that. They try to maximise what they got. They're locking on man-to-man and all of those type of things. And when the ball is around their goal, they're prepared to put their bodies on the line and fight for the cause. That is a great recommendation, but they're just lacking a little bit of quality, composure on the ball when they've got it, certainly in their own defending third. You can see their panic sets in when that ball bounces. They've slashed it out of play sideways on about 4 or 5 occasions. And just in the advanced areas, I think they've got into some great areas either side of the penalty box there and just hurried a pass too soon.
Am I allowed to be annoyed with Luton? And not necessarily Rob Edwards or the players, but the way the club is run. And hear me out here, right? Everybody's saying they've got this spirit. They've done really well. Everybody thought they'd be going down by now, and they've given themselves a chance of staying up, given themselves a chance in this game with the way they played in the first half. But the Tom Lockyer incident happened in December. We had a whole January window when they basically spent £2 million on the first team, which was Hashioka coming in. Now, they might have known they'd have injuries by that time. And at that time as well, in January, they were in a position where they thought, hang on a minute, we could survive here. We could actually stay up here. They've got Premier League money. Surely in January, you have to spend a little bit more, bring in a couple of centre-halves, bring in a midfielder, bring in a striker, whatever it is. They basically bought one player for the first team and it cost $2 million from Belgium. Is that a lack of ambition and a lack of support for what Rob Edwards is trying to do in keeping them up?
Or it might be an element of sensibility. You know, I've no idea the finances of the club. They're not awash with money. They have got promoted, I understand that. They've spent a lot of money bringing the ground up to a standard of. But to be fair, if you're Luton, there's two things you've got to do. A, can we have a real tilt at staying in the Premier League? This would be me last summer as a manager sitting around a boardroom table. Can we have a real good tilt? But I tell you what we can't do, boom or bust. We can't go and spend and buff out our squad ridiculously big on players, have a massive squad and a big wage bill to go back in the Championship again, you know. You've got to understand where this team's history's been in the last 10 years. It's been unbelievable. It's a hell of a story. So what I would say, I personally, and I've always been this type of manager, I'd rather my club be in a real good position next year rather than overextend this year and still go down with a massive wage bill in the Championship.
You're a very sensible man, Stuart Pearce.
That's very kind. I'm a chairman's dream. You know what I mean? I really am.
Is that you advertising yourself for a job?
I would miss you too much.
You're staying with Talksport, there's no doubt about that. Arsenal in control, going top of the table. They lead Luton by 2-0. Half-time on Talksport. Half-time on the Talksport app. Let's go to the G-Tech. What's been happening in that first 45, Ian Abrahams?
Brentford 0, Brighton 0. We've had an Ivan Toney miss from 8 yards out. João Pedro likewise from just inside the box. But the most notable moment came right on half-time. A shot was well saved by Flecken, and all of a sudden the referee, Andy Madley, stopped play and was told by the VAR, Michael Oliver, not an inexperienced referee, to go and look at the screen because there'd been a foul inside the penalty area. Johan Visser on Lewis Dunk. It did look 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. The Dunk did go down after having his shirt pulled, and after looking at the screen, Andy Madley did something very, very few referees have done. He stuck to his guns and said, no, I don't think it was a penalty. Brighton aren't happy. Brentford, they'll probably be absolutely delighted that it's still 0-0 at half-time, and we've seen something which you rarely see, Adrian, a VAR and a referee sticking to his decision he made first time. Hallelujah! It's Brentford 0, Brighton 0. Up the second half commentary is on the Talksport app.
The bad news for that referee is I thought it was definitely a penalty. Actually, I've looked at it over and over again. There is a lot of 50-50 in there. There's a lot of pulling and pushing from Dunk and from Visser. Is there enough of a foul from Dunk before Visser definitely fouls Dunk himself? So, listen, fair play to the referee for being bold enough to say, no, I think I got that right. And there is a lot of 50-50, and fundamentally for the good of football, possibly the right decision. But wow, I think Lewis Dunk and everybody at Brighton were very disappointed with that decision. Brentford 0, Brighton 0. Second half of that is on the Talksport app. On Talksport 2 right now, Manchester City lead Aston Villa 1-0. Rodri, another contender for player of the season, has got the goal on 11 minutes. Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 0. That's live and exclusive and only on Talksport 2 right now.
Kick-off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Hey, fancy scoring £1,000 for your local football club? Well, you're in luck, because The Sun has teamed up with Tesco's Stronger Starts programme to create the Footy for All Fund, offering £150,000 in grants to help out grassroots youth football clubs. 150 clubs will each get £1,000 to be used in any way that helps children continue to enjoy the sport they love. So if your club or club in your area needs a boost, apply for a grant today at thesun.co.uk/footy fund. T's and C's apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win!
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2022 and 30th of September 2022 is under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Don't break your stride. Get to Screwfix for the latest offers on the brands you love. Like the next generation, more powerful, more compact Milwaukee 18-volt twin pack. It's new and exclusive to Screwfix at just $249.99. And get those lawns in order with a Titan grass trimmer. Now only $49.99. A saving of £10. Shop now on the app at screwfix.com or in-store. Delivery fees may apply. Prices valid until at least 6th of May, subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
Mwah. When it's lunch o'clock, I just eat the tortilla naked burrito bowl.
Oh, I didn't know you could get those.
There's a lot you don't know, dear.
Well, I know that shirt's not coming back into fashion anytime soon.
Touché.
Get tortilla, Subway, Pret, and more delivered. For lunch and everything else.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Charges apply. Check available restaurants in your area and opening times on justeat.co.uk for details.
There will be 14 minutes of extra time.
With Betfair's 90-minute payout, you don't have to wait for the final whistle to celebrate, because your winning bet will be paid out in full at 90 minutes. Betfair.
Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Sportsbook exclusive. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Uno is now available in McDonald's Happy Meal. So let's see who can shout Uno first.
Bring it on.
Yes. Ooh. No! A wild card. Right. Yes. Back in the game. Yes. Ooh. No! Draw one card.
Uno. Better luck next time.
Have fun with your Uno cards. Does that one count?
Nope.
Oh. Some fun, some food. It's all inside this Happy Meal. Until 7th of May from 11 a.m. Includes one pre-selected book or toy. Uno range comprises toys only, while stocks last.
Kick off on Talksport with Now. Stream the Premier League, contract free with a Now Sports Day or month membership. 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply.
From the touchline to the terraces.
Takes a step and fires it into the top corner.
Kick off live on Talksport.
So the game of the Etihad was an 8:15 kick-off. It's Man City 1, Aston Villa 0. Rodri with the goal. You can listen to that on TalkSport 2. On the TalkSport app, you can get TalkSport 2. You get TalkSport as well. You get Talk Radio, Times Radio, Virgin Chill, Virgin Anthems, and my favourite Virgin 80s Plus. All available on the TalkSport app, so get that downloaded. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
So Arsenal 2-0 up against Luton. Leandro Trossard's score any time was 23-10. It's been price boosted to 5-2. Kai Havertz to score the third goal of the game was 4-1. That's now 5-1. Colin Morris, the Luton striker, to score the third goal of the game was 12-1. It's been price boosted now to 13-1. That's the latest odds with Ladbrokes. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. We play together. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
So let's have a little listening to TalkSport 2's commentary of Man City 1, Aston Villa 0 with Troy Deeney and Ian Danta.
But every single time that Villa have an opportunity to get out, they don't play.
Listeners from TalkSport, join us at the Etihad. We played 18 minutes. Manchester City lead Aston Villa by a goal to 0. They totally dominated the opening exchanges. Rodri got the first goal of the game. Great work from him to set up Doku on the right. Doku's ball back into the box from the byline, swept home with total authority by Rodri. Troy Deeney.
Absolutely. It's anyone that's listening, you've seen that goal 15 times. Whether it be the Champions League, whether it be any of the cups, they're going again into Alvarez.
Alvarez at the edge of the D, but he's dispossessed by a combination of Diego Carlos and Douglas Luiz, and Villa try and bring the ball clear. It's with Morgan Rogers going through the centre circle, two to his left. One of them is John Duran. Duran, the young Colombian, in for Ollie Watkins tonight. Plays a little 1-2, gets it back, and equalises for Aston Villa. John Duran dives for the corner flag, and the young Colombian, brought in by Unai Emery tonight for the injured Ollie Watkins, gets the goal. His third Premier League goal of the season, and Manchester City are undone at the back by a simple 1-2. Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 1.
It's a great finish. I do think there may be an offside at the start of this. I want to say, I hope I'm wrong for the benefit of the game, but great play from Durant. And I was going to say just after this, if they didn't score from it, where Ollie Watkins is a willing runner, he started to think about his runs, which is really causing problems. He's onside where I thought he was offside. He's actually onside, and it's really good play from here. He gets it on the left-hand side. Nice 1-2 with Morgan Rogers, and it's a great play, and it's an unbelievable finish on his left foot. Tucked it into the far side, right to that bottom corner. No keeper's going to save that. It's an unbelievable finish. Game on.
Just 20 years of age, John Duran, the Colombian, who joined from Chicago Fire at the start of the season. What a moment for him. He scored Premier League goals before, but this one means so much to get Villa level in this critical game between third and fourth. Commentary continues on TalkSport 2, but it's all square here. Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 1.
Wow, John Duran, he was hungry like the wolf with that finish, and he was onside as well. I know what Troy Deeney was talking about, but he was onside. We're about to get underway in the second half here at the Emirates. Arsenal are going top of the Premier League table. They lead Luton 2-0. Here's the second half live on TalkSport with Stuart, Pearce and Sam Matterface.
And forget goals on film. We've got goals on the radio tonight. Both stations bringing you live commentary. And Talksport 2 continues that Manchester City and Aston Villa game. Right now we're underway at the start of the second half here with a 2-0 lead for Arsenal. And we're expecting a change at the start of the second half of this game. We haven't quite had that yet. We thought that Tahith Chong was going to come out the second half and begin the second period on the pitch for Luton Town. That hasn't happened, but we expect to see him imminently, I think, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, he certainly went for a thorough warm-up at half-time with the conditioning coach away from the other subs, so we would fully expect that.
We'll run through the two teams in just a second, but Luton are on the attack, shooting from left to right in black shirts, black shorts and black socks towards the area of the ground where their fans are housed. There's not too many of them here tonight, but there are enough of them to make a noise over in that far corner. Arsenal on the attack in red shirts, white sleeves and white shorts towards the left-hand side of the ground, and Nelson held up in his tracks by Kabore, ends up on the floor, and the ball spilt back into the possession of Luton Town. So Arsenal with David Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko, Partey, Odegaard and Smith-Rowe, Nelson, Havertz and Trossard. And for Luton Town, who've rejigged their formation really, they have the goalkeeper Kaminsky, who's had to make a couple of bright saves in that first 45. And they're playing Onya Dimmar as a right wing-back, Hashioka, Mengi and Kabore as a central three, Doughty on the left-hand side, Clark and Barkley in the centre of midfield, with Mpanzu there as well, and Morris flanked by Townsend, with Clark actually pushing just a little bit behind him. Doughty has it far side, taking the goal away to our right. Luton in possession. They move up towards the midpoint of the Arsenal half, travelling forward, then stopping and going back towards Mpanzu, and all the way to the halfway line, and Luton trying to keep possession. Arsenal 2, Luton 0, Brentford 0, Brighton 0 underway in the second half, and 23 minutes gone. Talksport 2 and it's Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 1. Zinchenko scurrying back into position in the left full-back area, sending it back to David Raya, and Arsenal have control once again. Raya forward, pinging it up towards Nelson, who is beaten to it by Kabore. The ball runs loose on halfway. Nelson's got it. Odegaard now takes over, tries to slide it through to Havertz, but he was trying to get it through a congested little area of bodies, and as a result of that, it's easily cleared.
Yeah, I think the pass was on though. Trossard set sail from out to in, and a better pass would have put him clear.
Arsenal and Luton contested a cup final once, 1988. Arsenal were League Cup holders. They were building a team that would go on to win the title the next year, and they were shot by Brian Steen and Danny Wilson and Andy Dibble, who made a penalty save from Nigel Winterburn, where Arsenal were 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go. Perry Groves started that cup final for Arsenal. Saw him here today. He's doing waving duties, I think, today. Here's Perry Groves. And I'm sure we'll discuss it on the Sunday session this week when we're live from Old Trafford, and Perry back alongside me. April 1988, remember that? What were you doing in April 1988?
88. Don't know. I was waiting to go to the League Cup final the following year to face Luton.
Yes. You won that one though, didn't you?
We did.
Yeah. Shall I tell you what you were doing in 1988, April? Because it wasn't a great month for Stuart Pearce and the Forest team. Knocked out the FA Cup semi-final by Liverpool, remember that?
I remember it well, yeah.
2 weeks before, then whacked 5-0 by the same team in the league.
Remember that well.
2 0-0 draws with West Ham and Wimbledon.
Don't remember them.
Before Forest recovered to beat Norwich as May came into view. 2 goals in that game. Nigel Clough got one of them. Do you remember who got the other?
Roy Keane. No, he weren't there then.
It was you.
I bet it was a good one. So, we were in the FA Cup semi-final. We won the League Cup.
No, you hadn't won the League Cup.
Hadn't we? Oh, no, it's next year.
That was the year to come.
Anyway,
we are moving, although not really through the gears. Over on the far side. With Arsenal, you had a good team then, though, didn't you? Crikey, that was a good side. A side that would not only go on to win the League Cup the next year, but then end up 2 years after that going to the FA Cup final as well.
Yeah, that's correct. But as they say in football, it's all about the today and tomorrow, not yesterday.
Well, it looks like Arsenal got a bright tomorrow. They're playing around the edge of their own penalty area, right on the edge of the box. They funnel it out towards the far side. Trossard tries to spin in behind Onyedinma, who's ended up on the other side of the pitch. It's collected eventually by Gabriel on halfway, and the game really hasn't got going in this second half. Arsenal content just to keep hold of possession. They now look for a gap to feed the ball into Havertz down the left side. He moves up towards the edge of the box, finds Smith Rowe, and then into Zinchenko, and then on to Ødegaard, and then back to Zinchenko again, then on to Smith Rowe down the right side looking for Trossard, across steps the defender just in front of Smith Rowe, and a free kick is given.
Yeah, Trossard just putting too much weight on the defender there, used his body extremely well.
2-0 to Arsenal. Luton boss Rob Edwards on the touchline, now got his coat on. He's actually still in a WhatsApp group with Mikel Arteta, because they did their pro licence together 7 years ago down in Newport. Also Thierry Henry was on that course. He's still in the WhatsApp group as well, apparently.
Nice.
And Pep Linders from Liverpool.
To be fair, managers and coaches like to help each other when they can, apart from when they're opposing each other.
Here on the left-hand side, the ball is with Alfie Doughty, speeding forward at pace, produces a cross into the box. It's high, but it's not close enough to Carlton Morris, and then spended away by Zinchenko, edge of the area. Here is Fred Onyedinma, who has played at Wembley in a playoff final. Here is Tahith Chong, by the way. He's just about to come on down in front of us. And we did expect that would happen. 7 minutes into the second half we've had, and not much has happened, I must admit, in the first 7 minutes of this second half. It's been a little bit sedate. Still Arsenal fans coming back from their half-time break. Onyedinma again, on the right side, moving towards the edge of the area. A little burst of pace, plays it against Zinchenko, then comes back off Onyedinma and goes for a goal kick.
Yeah, wasted opportunity there. He took two players on, where probably the wise money would have been to slide it back to Townsend.
Here is Tahith Chong, and he is going to replace Pelly Roddick Impanzu. I think that will mean just a slightly deeper role for Jordan Clark, who'll go into midfield alongside Barkley, and Tahith Chong will go out to play on that left-hand side of that narrow duo behind Carlton Morris.
Yeah, certainly looks that way. As I say, you were a bit surprised that he was left out from the offset, weren't you?
Well, I know that he picked a knock-up at the weekend, but the fact that they were willing to bring him on for basically the second half here, suggests that maybe he could have started the game. I think he's been very good, actually, whenever I've seen him. In the last few games, obviously he's been the beneficiary of some of the injuries that they've got, and he's got his way into the team. But he's actually done very well whenever he has been called upon. He's got 3 goals in his last 5 games. He scored the opener at Spurs at the weekend after just 137 seconds. He also scored against Liverpool earlier in the campaign. He's earned himself a few starts in recent weeks. Would have been his 8th in a row had he been able to begin today. Ball clipped out towards the near side. Townsend brings it down, urged to go forward by Rob Edwards. Powers up the touchline, cuts in past Trossard, then goes beyond him again for a second time. A right-footed delivery is just behind Chong. It does reach him, but he spoons it up into the air. Ødegaard looked like he might have used the hand there, but the ball drops down on the edge of the box, and Arsenal have it back again. 10 minutes into the second half, it's 2-0. Brentford 0, Brighton 0, although Brighton, I think they should have had a penalty in that game. Sure, there'll be discussions about that on the sports bar a little bit later on. We get underway and open for business on Talksport. Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy ready to take your calls. Here is Trossard trying to reach a ball out from the right side to the left. It flicks off his toes and goes out playing away for a throw-in to Luton Town. I mean, listen, at the moment in time, this is not going to cause Arsenal any bother whatsoever. It's a very sedate second half. There's no over-energy expended, so they're not costing anything here. If they get away with a 2-0 victory, they'll be absolutely delighted. If they get one more, they'll be even happier. Here's Ødegaard trying to turn it over quickly. Feeds the ball to the edge of the box. Nelson flings himself to the floor. Referee says no foul, and it's cleared away by Luton. But what they don't want to do is open the door to Luton.
No, they don't. You know, another a goal, the next goal, if it comes Luton's way, then things will get slightly nervous here. There's no doubt about that. But what Arsenal want is probably a third goal, and then maybe from Arteta's point of view, having changed 5 players from the offset, make a couple of changes and look after the players going forward. Because they have got some big games coming up.
Huge games coming up in the Champions League and in the Premier League over the course of the next few weeks. Both of them have actually. Brighton away for Arsenal on Saturday. Aston Villa at home, Wolves away, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away. Big fixtures in the running. Bournemouth at home, Man United away, Everton at home on the final day of the season for Arsenal. That is not a run-in that you think is a walk in the park.
I think when you need to win every game, no games are easy, because it brings the pressures of having to win all the time, because you know there's 2 teams potentially are going to win their matches as well in Manchester City and Liverpool.
Yeah, Arsenal against Bayern Munich is live on Talksport, so is the return leg. Wolves against Arsenal on the 20th of April is live on Talksport. That's a 7:30 game on FA Cup semi-final weekend. And Arsenal-Chelsea a couple of days after that on the Tuesday night live on Talksport. So lots of Arsenal fixtures to bring you here. Barkley heads the ball down after Kaminski's clearance. Townsend switches the play from the right side to the left. It's headed into the air by Tahith Chong and then collected by Partey and sent out to Saliba. Saliba, he dances away from 2 challenges and gives it back to Partey. Then had a little wince, didn't he, because he got a little whack. I think everybody inside the ground panics every time they see him grimace, because losing him last year maybe cost them the title.
Yeah, but enter Declan Rice.
Enter. Well, he's still on the bench tonight at this moment in time. Ødegaard onto Havertz. They might not need him. He bursts into the box, sets it back for the captain. Ødegaard continues to twirl his way towards goal and then loses possession. And they win it back, and then between Barkley and Townsend, they slalom their way up the pitch. There's an opportunity for Onyedinma to get away, but Trossard dispossessed Townsend, and now they've turned it over Arsenal, and they charge towards the Luton penalty area. There's a foul by Clark, who then in turn was fouled by Smith Rowe. The free kick has gone Luton's way, and the ball eventually stopped.
Yeah, akin to a Super League foul there. I'm sure Adrian would like his whole team to be tackling like that.
Having a bad season, I hear.
Yeah, tough time at the moment.
And then what about your Warrington Wolves? Are you proudly sporting that jacket tonight?
Well, you know it goes. You know, as you always point out, you think I've got a freebie, but I was in the club shop buying this, actually.
Did you?
Actually, yeah. It's a purchase.
You parted with cash for clothes?
Yeah, I know it's hard to believe.
It is. Usually people... I just know you're that much of a superstar that people send you stuff. You're a clothes horse.
Yeah, well, listen, I think a little bit of it is they feel sorry for me, you know. I think I'm down on my luck a little bit, you know the rules.
Here is David Raya. Luton down their luck at this moment in time and can't get back into this game. Saliba out towards the far side. Oh, it's a mistake by Ødegaard, and it's picked up by Clark. He tries to siphon it forward, stretched by Carlton Morris. There was a little late dangling leg there on Jordan Clark before he released that ball, and the referee's going to pull it back for a free kick 6 yards outside the box. Ødegaard is pleading his innocence, but Craig Pawson has already made his decision.
Yeah, I think it was one of those, as Ødegaard's chasing him, Clark's pulled his foot back to have a swinger at it, and I think he's almost been kicked, Ødegaard.
Is that a foul?
I'm not sure, Ødegaard. If you ask him, he'll tell you definitely not, but quite often the referee sees one player hit the ground, and out the corner of his eye they think it must have been a free kick.
Well, David Raya is organising his wall. He wants 3 men in it. It's some distance out, this. So this is around about 22 23, 24, 25 yards from goal. Away to our left, maybe a little bit further out than that, maybe 27. The Arsenal wall is about a step in front of the 18-yard box, so that gives you a clearer indication. And Doughty's going to swing it in.
Well, I think what he'll be doing is standing one up to the far post, I would expect. I think he's too far out to shoot. I might be proved wrong there. But I think what I can see him doing is standing one up to the far post to Morris.
Well, he's taken one big step back, two hands in the air, then he's clipped it, as you say, to the far post towards Morris. Flicked away, though, by Gabriel, who got up there in front of him and nudges it out towards this right-wing position. Townsend takes over, tries to steer it back into the centre, blocked by White, and it bounces only as far as Kabore, who's on the turn because he was being chased by Ødegaard and by Trossard. And it's cleared away by Kaminski. Interesting watching Ødegaard run towards Kaminski there as he went to try and pressurise him. I think he started just to run towards Kaminski and then realised that he had his pressing instructions which asked him to curb his run slightly. So he just sort of stumbled forward towards his right. He almost lost his footing as he tried to readjust his position. But those things do come into players' minds, don't they? Because they have got specific instructions as to what to do in those circumstances.
Yeah, and players are intelligent as well. They'll read the goalkeeper. Where's the pass? What's he got on behind me?
Onyedinma Dimar into the box. His ball is poor and cut out by David Raya. Let's go off to the G-Tech Community Stadium. Talksport's Ian Abrahams.
Just after the hour mark, still Brentford nil, Brighton nil. Pressured little efforts in the second half on goal. Adam Lallana's fired over when he should have done better inside the penalty area, and another shot just whistles wide from Adingra. We play 63 minutes. It's live on the Talksport app. It's Brentford nil, Brighton nil.
And over on Talksport 2 right now, they play just 38 minutes, and it's Manchester City 1, Aston Villa 1. At this moment in time, the table will look like this. Arsenal will be top of the pile. Liverpool will be second, Manchester City third, Aston Villa fourth. And Aston Villa will have 60 points. They've played a game more than Manchester City, but the City are only 5 points ahead of them. 2 points then to Liverpool, who can stretch their lead at the top of the table tomorrow to 2 points. And then come Arsenal at this moment on top of the pile, 68 from 30 games. And with the best attack and best defence in the league. Usually that would be a recipe for ultimate success, but at this moment in time, while they peer down on everybody else in the as it stands table, Liverpool will extend their advantage tomorrow should they beat Sheffield United live on Talksport. Right now, Arsenal lead by 2-0 on Talksport with Now, and don't forget that with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action contract free with a Now membership. Search Now Sports.
So after tomorrow, with Liverpool playing their 30th game of the league, leaving them 8 games left, how many points do you think you can afford to drop and still win the title? So you would say 3?
Yeah, probably. Liverpool can only drop 3 points. Yeah, I think you're probably right. And they've got some decent fixtures to play. They've got some tough fixtures. They've got Manchester United on Sunday. We'll be at that game on the Sunday session. They've got Palace at home. Here come Luton on the edge of the penalty area down the left-hand side, looking for Townsend inside the box. And the Luton fans just get a little bit excited because their team progressed into the box. We've also got that Everton game coming up as well. So they've got Everton, Tottenham to play, West Ham away at the London Stadium to play. That'll be on Talksport as well. So Liverpool have got some tough fixtures too. Aston Villa away from home.
Yeah, and I'm looking at City at this moment in time. If they don't win tonight and Liverpool win, all of a sudden there's a 5-point gap between the two teams here. Yeah. And so you would say City probably can ill afford to drop any points if they don't win tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what it does mean. It's going to be a compelling last couple of months of the season.
It certainly is.
And we're excited about it. Doesn't look like this could be a compelling last 26 minutes or so, unless Luton can fashion a way back into the game. And to be fair, Arsenal have dropped off the pace so much in this second half that it's quite possible that they might. Here is Doughty, far side the Luton left, guiding it back to Kabore, who sends it back to Kaminski, and then he clears up over the halfway line to no one in particular. And it will be guided back to his goalkeeper, David Raya, by Saliba. But anyone who saw the Crystal Palace away game against Manchester City earlier in the season will tell you sticking in the game at 2-0 is just as important as sticking in the game earlier in the match, because if you've got a goal now, as you say, the tide can turn and anything can happen in the final 20 minutes of the match. And if Arsenal were to drop points from this position, there'll be a fan meltdown, I think. Here is Havertz trying to get beyond the defender, and then he goes down far too easily and gets a yellow card for simulation after diving past Clark.
I thought the diving scenario had gone out of fashion. It's good to see the referee clamping down on it.
Well, he got away from Clark.
Ridiculous.
He wouldn't even get in Team GB's Olympic squad with that sort of dive.
No.
Not enough tuck and roll, I don't think.
No. And that was his last interaction. I think he's coming off now.
As was pointed out by my earnest producer, ever one a stickler for the facts, he said he wouldn't qualify for Team GB anyway because he is German. True. I don't think he'll get in the German diving team. There you go. He's coming off. Eddie Nketiah is coming on. And Nketiah hasn't seen too much action. He's only played a handful of minutes in 2024 in the Premier League. Said last week that it was important for the strikers to work incredibly hard at the top of the formation, and we've got another change, and Declan Rice is coming on to the field of play as well. And he gets a warm reception. He's certainly been taken to the heart of the Arsenal supporters since moving in the summer.
Yeah, it's no surprise really. I mean, he's one of these, he's got a real warmth over the other side of London at West Ham with the fans, and rightly so, and the way he conducts himself as a professional, so he should.
Thomas Partey was the man who came off as a result of that. So 2 changes for Arsenal, and they have Rice on the field of play as the ball goes up through the middle of the pitch into the arms of David Raya once again. It's bowled out into Gabriel's path, and he centres the ball into Declan Rice. The first touch for him. He plays it out towards the right side, gets a return from White, fizzes it straight into Nelson. Nelson on halfway finds Ødegaard. He might have just injected a bit of pace into this attack here, Declan Rice, since coming off the bench. It's not a good pass by Ødegaard forward, and there's an offside flag up anyway, and it's going to be a free kick to Luton away to our left-hand side. How would you assess overall the Arsenal performance tonight?
Workmanlike. I would say it's not been blistering, but they've beaten what's at this moment in time, I quantify, they've beaten what they've had put in front of them. So, and he's made 5 changes. They'll be happy, and they've not conceded a goal on the back of not conceding one at Manchester City. So they'll be delighted.
That's their big strength, isn't it? Their rock-solid defence. It's difficult to crack them open. 24 goals in 29 league games, 30 if you include tonight as well.
That's so impressive. And if you go back over history, all of those teams that have won things have normally done that. Yes, they can score at the other end, but you bet your bottom dollar the Manchester United in their pomp and Liverpool in their pomp, they didn't concede goals.
Here on the right-hand side, Onyedinma Dimma back to Clark, who sends it into the box aimlessly, away by Gabriel, and then picked up by Kaminsky on the halfway line. Infield it goes to Tenan Mengi. Mengi finds Barkley. Barkley trying to skate forward, shadowed by Ødegaard. Another little turn by Barkley on the halfway line, trying to open up the pitch into Mengi, forward to Clark. Clark strokes it out to the near touchline, and now Townsend has got it. Townsend travelling down that touchline, moves infield, finds Fred Onyedinma. Back into Jordan Clark once again. Clark, who scored a couple of belting goals against Manchester City in the FA Cup earlier in the campaign. Craig Pawson just having a word with Gabriel and Colton Morris, who are getting acquainted with one another. Here's Doughty looking for Morris in the centre. Oh, he's elevated it over the top of Morris's head. He needed a low fizzing ball through the 6-yard box. He went for the chip ball to the far post instead, and it went over the top of Morris and was easily cleared eventually by Zinchenko.
I tell you what, a real dangerous moment there. Fantastic through ball, bisecting the back line. Just lofted to the far post. Don't know whether it took a deflection to spin it up in the air.
It just seems to take the pace off the ball as well, didn't it, as it came over?
Araya's on loan, isn't he?
He is.
So what is the situation come the summer? They win the league or win whatever they do, Arsenal, potentially.
they'll buy him. They've agreed a price already to buy him.
The price is in the agreement, is it?
I think there was it's not an I don't think it's an obligation to buy. I think it's an option to buy for a fixed price, and I mean they will pay it. I think it was an accounting thing, really.
Well, in all honesty, I think whatever price that is, they probably undersold that price, or it's a good deal for Arsenal, because Arsenal wouldn't want to leave him, lose him, going back, would they?
No. I mean, the ball's in their court. They can, they don't have to renegotiate. They can get that deal done. And I think it was a bit of protectionism on Brentford's part. They made him sign a 5-year contract before loaning him out, but then the deal included that option to buy. And he will become an Arsenal player, I anticipate, at the beginning of July. 2-1 to Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. Phil Foden with a free kick over on Talksport 2. Scores the goal just before half-time. And they've got back in front there after being paid back. Tahith Chong in the centre of midfield. Pings the ball out towards his right-hand side. Onyedinma moves up towards the edge of the area. His low cross is a poor one again. And it's defended by Gabriel, and it goes out on this near side. And that's, I suppose, the difference, isn't it? You know, that quality in the final third. Onyedinma getting to a really good position, and that really good position doesn't generate a shooting chance.
No, as I say, we said it during the first half. The set-up play's been brilliant. Got in great areas there across it, and he just hasn't beaten the first man.
Now, Phil Foden is celebrating with his sniper celebration. A free kick from the edge of the box, which, when I first saw it, seemed to outwit Olsen, the goalkeeper, a little bit too much. Left-footed, went to the near post. It went in between two men in the wall, and the goalkeeper, well, he couldn't get anywhere near it. Zaniolo, I think, was the one who jumped and turned his back, and he might well get a bit of criticism for that. Stuart Pearce is already shaking his head.
It really was woeful, just looking at it. As I say, it's one thing jumping collectively if you're in the wall, but jumping and turning your back on the ball.
Good header by Morris out towards the near side. Back at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal lead by 2-0, and a tepid second half. And now trying to be brought to life by Onyedinma, but he's again got towards the byline, tried to get a cross in. It wasn't really anyone for him to aim at there, so he had to kick it against Zinchenko, did that, and now he's generated a corner. And they are themselves dangerous from set pieces, Luton Town, because of the wicked delivery from Alfie Doughty. And I just wonder whether or not Arsenal, who have started this second half very slowly, need an injection of pace somewhere along the line. They are going to bring on Martinelli and Tomiyasu in just a moment.
Well, what they need is this third goal, Arsenal, to really set things, because at any given time, if Luton do score, they'll have a big hurrah to finish the game, that is for sure.
Doughty's delivery in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, away by Ben White, one by Nelson, who's looking to escape from Onyedinma, who's all over him and ends up picking up a yellow card. They want to take the free kick quickly. Craig Pawson won't let them do that, and the yellow card dished out to Fred Onyedinma. And the attack slowed. And here are the two changes for Arsenal. First of all, Oleg Zinchenko comes out of the team. He has now made a fourth start of 2024. He has now played over 300 minutes of Premier League football, but nothing more than that. And he's replaced by Tomiyasu. Second substitution. Martinelli for Nelson. As Arsenal gear up for maybe a grandstand finish here and putting this game to bed, because with 16 minutes to go, they are firmly in control. They haven't had to get out of second gear for most of the match. Martinelli rarely plays in any other gear than top gear. He is rapid. And he's gone out towards the right side of the attack, flanking in Nketiah. Trossard has stayed on this left-hand side. A change for Luton, I think, in the offing here as well. And they are going to withdraw Onyedinma and replace him with Cauley Woodrow. Scored his first Premier League goal in a decade at Palace the other week. His 23rd appearance of the season. Onyedinma gets a high five from one of the coaching staff.
Yeah, There might be a juggle round at the back here. I don't know which way they're going. They might be going to a 4 potentially, I think. It certainly looks that way.
We'll have a look as the ball's helped on inadvertently by Doughty in towards that right side, and Ben White centrals the ball, but it came off the chest of Doughty. One or two suggested it might have been a handball over on that far side. And hold on, what are they doing here? What has he given here? Well, they think he's given initially a corner kick, and it came off Ben White's chest. The goal kick actually has been given. It hit, I think, Ben White, but from behind it looked like Alfie Doughty, and the linesman has corrected the referee and given the goal kick.
Yeah, it certainly looked as though it come off Doughty last, almost a handball, but the replay suggesting it was nowhere near him.
Mikel Arteta stalking the touchline once again. Still remains Brentford 0, Brighton 0 at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Half-time, Manchester City, Aston Villa 2-1 over on Talksport 2. And here it's 2-0 to the Arsenal. Carlton Morris has taken a bit of a battering tonight. It's down on his haunches, having been whacked in the chops. Is it that Martin Keown charm again?
I think so. Just a calling card.
Here is Tenan Mengi for Luton Town. Halfway line, Alfie Doughty. Tahi Chong on the far touchline trying to twirl away. Luton boss Rob Edwards didn't play too many games at the highest level, but he did play against Arsenal in 2003 when part of the Aston Villa team that drew 1-1 at Villa Park. He came on for Ulysses de la Cruz. Remember him? 25 minutes left in the game. Had to contend with Lundberg, Bergkamp and Thierry Henry in that match, and Talksport's Ray Parlour.
You've got your hands full with that lot, that is for sure.
Ball cleared upfield by David Raya into the right channel. Martinelli chasing with Doughty. Doughty is pressurised. Did look like he touched his hand there as well. The ball runs loose towards the box, and instead of picking the ball up, Kaminsky headed it inside his area.
He couldn't. It was a back pass.
He did head it, dealt with it well enough, and they come forward down the right hand side. Tommy Yasu gets it back to David Raya, and that's good form by Tommy Yasu just to edge past the right-sided Kabore, who has moved out to this right hand side to play it right back now in a back four since those changes for Luton Town. Barkley is nudged to the floor by Nketiah, the free kick given just in front of the centre circle. 12 minutes to go. 2-0 to Arsenal, and it's a bit of a cruise.
It is. Luton just need to find something from somewhere, a corner, a set play, wherever it comes from. They just need to find a goal from somewhere just to make this interesting in the last couple of minutes.
They have been adversely affected by injuries all season, and whilst that is true of so many clubs, I think it cuts deeper at a club like Luton Town. Well, the squad isn't as deep as some of the others that the bigger clubs carry. Rob Edwards says he wants to embrace the challenge of the Premier League and wants to be in the Premier League forever, but it's going to be a tough ask, isn't it, now, when you look at the table where they find themselves and the fixtures that they have to come. The weekend sees them take on Bournemouth. Yeah, not them again after what they did to them down at the Vitality Stadium, and they follow that up with a trip to Manchester City.
Yeah, as I say, the fixtures are tough, that is for sure, but once again, we talk about the top of the league, Sam, the bottom of the league. There'll be some twists and turns in that, make no mistake.
There will be. Here's Martinelli on the right side for Arsenal, giving it away cheaply. And then into Barkley, who looks to emerge with the ball for Luton Town, and does so as he ghosts past Emile Smith-Rowe, nudges it into the path of Morris. They're on the charge here, Luton, down the right, trailing by 2-0. Then Morris keeps hold of the ball for a little bit too long, really. Gives it away to Trossard, who in turn sends Nketiah down the left flank. He goes speeding away to the edge of the penalty area, outwits Hasioko, stops the ball in the box, gives it back to Trossard. Trossard threatened to hit it, didn't, gave it back to Tommy Yasu, who strikes it towards the far corner. A curling effort which just whistles past the left-hand upright and goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, disappointing from Luton, firstly, giving it away. They set up the attack really well, instrumental once again, Barkley, but Morris give it away cheaply, and from there Tomiyasu opened his body to curl one round the goalie, and I don't think it was ever coming back inside that post.
You're listening to Arsenal 2, Luton 0 on Talksport with Enterprise Rent a Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps you. And over 120,000 people every day. Goal kick away to our left. The Luton fans still in fine voice over on the far side. I actually went past the site of the new Luton Stadium on the train yesterday when I took 17 different modes of transport to get from Manchester to London because of the signalling problems at Euston. And it looks like some groundwork is being done now as they prepare to build their new stadium, probably 3 or 4 years before they get it done. Andros Townsend comes off to a bit of a boo from the Arsenal supporters, and Luke Berry comes on for the away team. Let's go off to the G-Tech. Has there been any developments? Ian Abrahams.
Not really. 9 to go. Still Brentford 0, Brighton 0. 31 shots on Saturday against Manchester United. A paltry 6 tonight for the home side, who really need to push on to try and win this. It's live on the Talksport app. It's Brentford 0, Brighton 0.
Yeah, they haven't had a great run themselves, have they? Brentford, the way things have gone for them over the course of the last 3 or 4 months. They've hardly won a game. It's been tricky. They have just 28 points from 31 games, which keeps them within 2 victories for Luton Town. But the others around them obviously not only have had points deducted, but have got tough games to come. As Nketiah bursting into the box, he's overrun it slightly, and it goes out and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Rob Edwards not happy about something. He wants someone to go out and start warming up away to our left-hand side. This animated figure once again. What will he be feeling after tonight? Will he be feeling that Arsenal maybe took their foot off the gas, or that they contained them well second half?
I think you've got to give Luton some credit. I don't think Arsenal have created too many chances in this second half. No. And listen, it's easy to turn around and say, it's just because Arsenal didn't have a go in the second half. But I think with a bit more quality from Luton in that final third, they could have created the odd chance.
Well, so far it's 2-0 and we've got 8 minutes to go. And Luton, 22 points from 31 is going to be the table status at the end of this match, unless they can find a couple of goals. It's currently Arsenal 2, Luton 0. The latest odds are available at Ladbrokes, where right now you can get Trossard to score at any time, 8 to 1. Eddie Nketiah at 5 to 1 to get on the score sheet, all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18 plus, be gamble aware.org. Here is Tomiyasu out to the left. Trossard holding on to it, sends it infield. Emil Smith-Rowe back to Gabriel. I think he'll be happy with his contribution tonight, Smith-Rowe.
I think so. I think he's played a couple of very critical passes through the back line of Luton, actually. I've been impressed by that respect of his play.
Yeah, and he got back and helped out as well where necessary. He helped create the second of Arsenal's goal, the clinching goal, as it turns out to be. There's a foul on the edge of the centre circle. Martinelli apologising to Alfie Doughty. The referee just dealing with that situation. It's a free kick to Luton with 7 to go. I mean, Luton obviously were tipped at the beginning of the season to struggle. They've done better, I think, than many people expected them to do. They've certainly been in a lot more games than many people thought they would be in. They've caused problems for Liverpool, for Manchester United, for City and for Arsenal, especially at Kenilworth Road. But when you look at the table and see those 3 names, Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton, very much ensconced in those relegation positions, how concerning do you think it is that even with the points deductions that the others have faced, that it's still likely that the 3 that came up will go down?
Well, I think the most disappointing out of all 3 has probably been Burnley, it's fair to say. They won the championship on an absolute cakewalk last year, and all of a sudden, they've probably not delivered what people were expecting. I was expecting them to finish further up the food chain than they actually have at the moment. Now, albeit they're probably on the best run of the season with 4 games undefeated.
Got a big game at the weekend, haven't they? Got Everton at the weekend.
It's a whopper of a game, it really is.
Dyche should be warming up for that one. Jorginho coming on for Emil Smith-Rowe. who gets a standing ovation from the Arsenal crowd. They love him here. And he's played his part in what is going to be another routine Arsenal home victory. It's a 10th home win in 11 games. And they've now won the last 5 Premier League home games by an aggregate scoreline of 16 goals to 3, which is pretty impressive.
It certainly is. As I say, Arsenal have rolled into a bit of form at the right time. This time a year ago probably they didn't, but they certainly look a side that have got not too many injury problems, confidence in the ranks, scoring goals, and more importantly keeping them out the net.
And keeping people off the treatment table, which is also important at this stage of the season. It was an issue for them last campaign. And I wonder if they do win the title, how crucial that win over Luton in the last minute will be back in December. That goal from Declan Rice.
I think there'll be a few pointers for whoever gets their hands on the title, and probably the teams that go down as well. They look back at certain games, and as you mentioned, Luton 3-0 up at Bournemouth. Those type of games are critical in a season.
Ball in the arms of Kaminski. Not much happening on the field of play. Rob Edwards trying to get his team up the pitch, but they're firmly on the halfway line. We are delighted to welcome listeners from Talksport 2 for a minute or so in half-time of the game between Manchester City and Villa. Here's Ødegaard, who scored the opener here, trying to get forward. He's tackled by Cauley Woodrow. Luton turned the ball over and it's pushed out towards the far side. Tahith John, a second-half substitute, comes forward with the ball at his feet for Luton. In it goes to Woodrow again. Barkley. Woodrow back to Barkley once more. Barkley looks up, sprays it to the wide left. Jordan Clark trying to turn, feeds Alfie Doughty, gets into a crossing position, needs to be a good delivery here. It's a ball that stood up into the penalty area. It comes through to Hashioka, who strikes it. It's blocked by Gabriel. Back in by Hashioka, in towards Carlton Morris, tried to get in front of the defender. There was a little pull on the arm of Saliba, and the free kick is given against Carlton Morris, the Luton captain. But that initial delivery from Doughty got into a brilliant position down that left-hand side. The cross into the box, was it the wrong option? It just went a little bit long.
Well, I thought it was a decent cross. The trouble is everyone had gambled, had gone near post, and sadly for him, there was no one in the far post area. Saying that, there was a follow-up shot and a really good block by Gabriel.
Hashioka was the man who had that shot. It was blocked and cleared away by the Arsenal defence, and they are edging closer and closer to a victory that will take them top of the pile. 2-0 to Arsenal. Here is Ødegaard flicking the ball in behind for Martinelli to chase. Doughty comes across and gets it back to Kaminski, and he will fire it forward. Jorginho keeps it moving, pushes it into Nketiah, edge of the box, gets it onto his right foot, draws it down towards the near post, and then readjusting his position to make a really good save was Thomas Kaminski. He was going to go to his left, then he had to body swerve back to his right. He got down really low and flicked it around the post for a corner.
Yeah, Nketiah's body shape looked as though he was curling towards the far corner when he cut back, and just closed that foot on the effort, pulled it near post, and a good save by the goalkeeper.
Really good save by Thomas Kaminski, who's got a corner to deal with now in the final few minutes of this encounter at the Emirates Stadium, where Arsenal heading top of the pile. Their only home defeat this season remains that loss to West Ham in December. They got their revenge for that though, didn't they? Here is the corner away to our left-hand side. A right-footed delivery which will be planted into the 6-yard box, where there are 4 red shirts waiting for the delivery by Declan Rice. He aims that right into that area, and Carlton Morris getting back to help out his team, and the defensive setup flicks it away. That's another thing that they really utilise this season, isn't it? The set-piece delivery of Declan Rice.
Yeah, they certainly have. I mean, Declan's not shabby in the box himself at getting on the end of things, especially flashing across the near post area. But certainly his deliveries have been very good.
Here is Cauley Woodrow dropping deep to pick it up and sending out towards the far side. Now it's Morris who travels forward with it, and then it goes back towards the halfway line. The Emirates starts to just empty slowly. A trickle of spectator starts to go down the gangways and into the exits to get the early tube. Kabore with the ball in towards the near post. Luke Berry got in front of his marker and flicked the ball behind. It was an off-target header. It was a bit too far in front of the width of the post when he tried to connect with that. Luke Berry, who recently became the first ever Luton player to score in all 4 divisions of English League football.
Yeah, once again, it was a cross that failed to really beat the first man, didn't it? Berry's had to get right across in front of the 6-yard box, almost in front of Gabriel, to get contact on it, and the angle changes totally then.
Goal kick away to our right, and Raya is going to kick long from the edge of the 6-yard box. We don't really see that very often anymore. He's planted the ball down, and he is going to smash it upfield with 8 seconds of regulation time to play. And Paul Tierney, the fourth official, just raising the... Simon Hooper, the fourth official, raises the ball for 4 minutes at the end of the 90. 4 more to play. A few of the Arsenal supporters take their cue and start to depart once again. We'll hope to bring you live interviews with Mikel Arteta and Rob Edwards before we leave you at 10 o'clock tonight. If not, we'll get them into the sports bar a little bit later on. Nketiah has it down this near touchline, goes out of play and away for a throw-in to Arsenal as they count down the minutes here. It is a Luton Town throw that has been awarded, and the Kabore, squeezed in by Jorginho, just evades him, comes forward. Jorginho again makes a tackle, and Ødegaard guides it back to Saliba, who sees it all the way back to David Raya. Now Luton have conceded more goals than any other team in the Premier League away from home this season, and I think when they look back on the 2 goals they did concede, they'll be disappointed about the concession of them.
Yeah, they will. As I say, a giveaway in your own half when you're spread to play is always a killer. They've been quite cheap goals that they give away, without taking any credit away from Arsenal.
I wonder whether or not this is the latest signal that Luton might be just running out of a bit of steam. In the early part of the season, in fact the mid part of the season as well, they were testing teams, scoring goals against even the big boys. Their 18-game league scoring record is about to come to an end. Their injury list is longer than most, and some key players absent for them just when they need them the most at the end of a tough first campaign in the Premier League. And Rob Edwards will have to do his very best to galvanise this group before their game at the weekend at home against Bournemouth, who have already beaten them once recently. Man City follow that. Brentford, Wolves, Everton, West Ham and Fulham are the games that they still have to negotiate between now and the end of the campaign. Ball back into the midpoint of the Arsenal half, collected by Saliba, and then on to Gabriel, who is I think quite revelled in his duel with Carlton Morris today.
Yeah, to be fair, he's almost an old schooler, Gabriel. Every time the ball's played up to Morris, he makes sure that he feels his body every time on a challenge.
There is Morris, pinched by Rice, pushed into Clark. Clark has it now. On to Doughty, back to Clark again. A ball round the corner for Kabore to get forward on this right-hand side. Gets to the edge of the penalty area, produces a crossing towards the near post again, and it's headed away by Gabriel. They've dealt with those well up until a point. Kabore's got it once more. Ashioko just back from the 18-yard box into Barkley. Barkley down the side of the pitch looking for Berry. And still Luton just trying to probe, trying to find a consolation goal as we go into the final added minute. Ashioko down to Kabore, right side. Arsenal looking to keep another clean sheet, the best defence in the league. Gabriel trying to shepherd him down the touchline. It comes back to Barkley, who clips the ball to Tahith Chong, but up there is Ben White headering it away. Out towards the far side once again. Luton have the ball. Tahith Chong tries to just accelerate, leaves it for Doughty, who's swirling delivery, goes towards Kabore. Trossard just bumps him off with his backside onto the floor, and then it comes back in from Ashioko towards Barkley, who got up well, but was tracked well by Declan Rice and was pushed as he did so and went over the bar with an effort on goal. And it is 2-0 to Arsenal, and surely now that will be the last act of a match really which Arsenal have been in control of from start to finish, Stuart.
Yeah, they have. Certainly since they got their nose in front, that's been the case. Luton have not been totally out the game at any given moment in time, and they've worked tirelessly, but Arsenal showed their class, and a 2-0 result they'll be delighted with.
Well, in this roller coaster race to be crowned champions of England, Arsenal leapfrog Liverpool to go top of the Premier League, A stay that may only be brief, but a comprehensive, rather easy victory over Luton Town that serves as warning that they will not be going anywhere, not anywhere fast anyway. Shaking the Gunners off will take some doing for someone. Luton have been brave, they've been the best of the promoted sides, but even though they have shown that they can tangle with the big boys on a number of occasions this season, they weren't tonight able to do any of that. Arsenal just too good. 2 goals, 1 an own goal from Hashioko after Ødegaard, the captain, had scored after a high turnover involving Emil Smith-Rowe. 5 changes for Arsenal tonight, but it barely registered on the flickometer. It's finished. Arsenal 2, Luton 0.
Full time at Brentford as well as 0-0. We'll be there shortly. That's Stuart Pearce. Only the 4th time in 31 Premier League games Luton have failed to score. So Arsenal kept Man City quiet at the weekend. They've kept Luton quiet tonight as well with their second string comfortable. Maybe too comfortable for Arsenal tonight.
Well, I wouldn't say it was too comfortable for them. Listen, it's not been a 4 or 5 niller. There's no doubt about that. And I think Luton were a little bit wasteful when they did get in advanced areas, you know, failing to miss the near post man too often. But listen, they showed good spirit, Luton. They were outplayed on occasion against a better side, and Arsenal have got their tails up. They're not conceding goals and not conceding many efforts on their goal.
I was surprised by the atmosphere in here tonight. Arsenal have gone top of the table, and maybe it was because the game was fairly straightforward for the Gunners. They were 2 up at half-time, and the second half was a little bit of a procession to a certain extent. But the crowd didn't really get going. They started leaving early. We know how difficult it is to get away from the Emirates, and by the end, all you could hear was the Luton fans singing. A lot of people, and certainly Arsenal fans, moan about the atmosphere at Manchester City being flat. I thought it was quite flat here tonight. They probably will have to raise their game, these fans, getting behind their team, home and away. The away fans are normally brilliant for Arsenal, to be fair, but they'll have to raise their game between now and the end of the season if they want to seal the title.
Well, they will. It's almost... It's one of those, Arsenal done enough tonight. The fans done enough vocally tonight, you know, and they were never stretched and there was never any element of panic. If Luton would have scored and made it 2-1 at any given time, it would have been interesting to see, you know, the atmosphere around the ground and the reaction of the Arsenal players. They've done enough to win the game. They've got bigger fish to fry between now and May.
Yeah, they have. Man City is still 2-1 up, by the way, and as it stands, there's just 1 point between the top 3 in the Premier League, which is brilliant for us neutrals who want to see a great title race. And of course, Liverpool can change that live on Talksport tomorrow against Sheffield United. But that's the way we want it. That's how tight we want it between 3 teams come the end of the season.
It's been brilliant. I've got to say, I love looking at the fixtures, looking at the stats, decoding everything, and we've got a brilliant title race on our hands at this moment in time, and I think it will go to the wire with a lot of twists and turns and results we don't expect.
Quick word on Arsenal and goal scoring, because everybody says they need a striker. They are the top scorers in the Premier League. And Ødegaard made it 10 all competitions tonight, and they could well have. They're on the brink of having 6 players in double figures by the end of the season, all competitions. Saka's got 16, Trossard 10, Ødegaard 10, Martinelli's on 9, Havertz on 9, Jesus is on 8. He's been out injured a little while as well. To have 6 players in double figures, do you really need a striker to add to that?
Well, some might say that is the perfect scenario for any team. They're not reliant on one person getting 30, 40, 50 goals even, you know. We've seen certain teams in times where, I remember Clive Allen many years ago getting 49 goals in a season, you know, so the next one from him would have been a hell of a drop-off. So I think that's quite a healthy thing to have at a football club.
Yeah, I must admit I do as well. I'll give you a little bit of time to think about your man of the match while we head off to the G-Tech to round up what happened, if anything, in the 90 minutes there. Talksport, Ian Abrahams.
Brentford 0, Brighton 0. I'm not going to lie to you, this was far from a classic, and the draw does neither side really any good in their aspirations. Brentford to quickly pull away from the bottom 3, and Brighton to try and get into the top 7. Chances few and far between. Ivan Toney probably squandered the best for Brentford in the first half, and late on in the second, a chance for Danny Welbeck. He couldn't take. The referee could have given us a goal or a chance of one from the penalty spot before half-time, but even going to the monitor, he decided it was 6-1 and half a dozen in the other in a squabble between Visser and Dunk inside the penalty area, and with that our chances of a goal disappeared into the West London night. It finished here, Brentford 0, Brighton 0.
3 points from the last 8 games for Brentford, who are still too close to the relegation zone for comfort. For Brighton, it's 6 wins in 24 Premier League games. Here at the Emirates, Arsenal have gone top. They've beaten Luton by 2-0, and it's time now on Talksport for us to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Man of the match on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Stuart Pearce, who stood out for you on the pitch tonight?
I would have to go with an Arsenal player, and that Arsenal player being Odegaard. You know, he got the goal that steadied the nerves, and I think his general all-round play was very good. I see a lot goes through him with Arsenal, and he understands the game. He's an intelligent player, and it'll be him for me.
They've got a lot of leaders, but you can see why he's captain, and you can also see how much Arteta respects him. He wasn't going to give him a rest from the off tonight.
No, as I say, he's got bags of energy, pressed the goalkeeper really well on occasion, and as I say, he looks after the ball brilliantly, rarely gives the ball away, knits things together, and obviously his work he done as part of the team, pressing from the front against the Luton defence when they were playing out, is all part of his game as well.
Endless energy. Martin Odegaard, our man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.